How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be doing auth by. We see port 21, which is FTP, 242-3145, and we also see RDP. Let's go ahead and start off with enumerating FTP while the scan is going on. So we're going to check for anonymous login. Alright, so fat fingered AU. So let's see if there's any other files in here. Okay, we see a lot of files in here. Let's go ahead and download these files. So we're going to exit out, and using wget, we are going to download all of the files from the FTP server. So we do -r for recurse and no parent, and then we put the credentials and the IP address and port. So for some reason we can't view the files after downloading them locally, so let's just go back to FTP, and if we go back here, let's try to go in the logs directory. So here in the logs, we can see that there's files in here. So maybe we just don't have permissions to download these files. We only have read and execute permissions. So let's see if we can get any type of information from here. So we see zftp server.exe. We also see accounts, so let's go to accounts and see if we see any usernames. So we see backup, we see offsec, anonymous, and admin. So let's go ahead and create a users.txt file. Alright, so we have some usernames. So on port 3145 we see zftp admin, and on 242 we see that's a HTTP port. Let's go ahead and navigate to that port. So when we navigate to port 242 we see a login box. Let's try admin. Offsec, no. Okay, so we need to use Hydra in order to brute force this login page. Hydra-L to set the usernames list. So we're going to do users and then -p, and we can use rocky.txt. Now we're going to do authby.pg-s 242 http-get /. Now let's also try the same thing, except let's try it with a different service. So let's try it with the FTP. And for FTP, let's actually try the username as the password. And I need to change my directory. So it looks like we have a couple of different valid usernames. So let's try admin, since we already have the anonymous user. Alright, so we were successfully able to log in as admin. Let's check their permissions. Alright, so it actually looks like this is the directory for a web page. So we see index.php.htaccess, and that's a dead giveaway that this is the web root for some web page. So maybe it's the web page for 242. We also see this .ht password file. Let's go ahead and use wget to download all these files. Credentials to admin. admin. Oh, okay, so it looks like we have the password hash for the offsec user. Let's copy this, and we're gonna do echo single quote, paste the password in, another single quote, and hash.txt John, hash.txt, and then we set our word list to rockyou.txt. And as you can see, the password is elite. Let's go back to the web port to see if that works. Offsec elite. And it looks like we can log in. So what we can do from here is directory fuzz to see if there's any other directories for this 242 webpage, or we can spray these credentials to see if they work anywhere else. Let's see if we can set the port for Hydra to 3145 for ZFTP, and that did not work. And if you do directory fuzz this directory or this webpage, you will not find any other subdirectories that will be useful. So what we do from here is we take one step back. We need to go back to the admin FTP session. Now we need to try and upload some type of file. So let's try to do put hash.txt. Alright, so it looks like we have write permissions. So we need to upload some type of reverse shell to this FTP server and then call to that file that we uploaded. But let's also check 242 to see if that index.php file exists there. Okay, so it does take us there. Let's see hash.txt. Alright, so we see that 424 reflects all of these files that are uploaded. So let's go to revshells.com. And we know we need a PHP file. And we also know that the operating system is Windows. And I need to change my Tanzero address. And let's go back to the nmap scan. And let's use a open port. So let's try out 3145. And let's set a listener. IRL wrap 3145. And I always use the Ivan PHP file. And we need to change our shell to cmd because we are using Windows. Copy that supple ivan.php. Paste that in there. Now we're going to go back to the FTP server and upload that file. So put ivan.php. And now we need to call the file. So let's do ivan.php and pray that it executes. So it's hanging, that's a good sign. And we go back here and we have a show. Always check for config files to see if there's any credentials in those files. But let's go to the C drive and let's see what's here. And we see this auto execute.bat. Not sure what that is. We see manage engine, which is not default, and of course the WAMP directory. Let's see if there's any other users. Who am I? We are already the Apache user. Let's check our permissions, and we have SE impersonate privilege, and we also have a high mandatory level. Let's go ahead and run system info. So if we want to use Juicy-Potato, we need to find a Juicy-Potato script that supports a 32 archetype system. So from my research, I found this script from Ivan IT Learning. this Juicy Potato base 32 script, but you will have a lot of trouble if you don't understand how to run the exploit. So Juicy Potato, it uses background intelligent transfer service called bits, and bits is used in Windows to transfer files between a client and a server in the background, and bits is often used by applications or exploits that need a reliable service to execute certain tasks. And a CLSID is a class identifier. We need to change the class identifier because the class identifier is for a specific software component in Windows. So we need to change the class identifier to the bits service so that Juicy Potato knows where this service is. So if we go to this Juicy Potato CLSID page, and if we go back to our system info page, we see it's a Windows Server 2008 standard. So we need to match that on what's on this page. So we do Windows 8.1 Enterprise. And let's just go ahead and try the first one. And we also need to transfer over the Juicy Potato script as well. So you can go to releases and just download the file. I went ahead and started my Python 3 server. Now we're going to use certutil to copy over the file. We also need to transfer over nc.exe, and that is the base 32 version. Okay, now we need to run the script. I'm going to do -L1337 -P C Windows System 32 cmd.exe. Then we're going to do -A, and we want to execute this cmd.exe file, or this the netcat.exe file. So we're going to point it to our netcat.exe. Then we're going to execute our command cmd.exe, set our ton0 address, and then we're going to use port 424 since it's open, and -T all -C. And for this -C, this is where we need the CLSID. So let's go ahead and start our netcat listener 242 and go back to here, and let's try this CLSID. So that failed. Let's try a different one. Okay, it looks like it set the process. Alright, so I was not getting a shell back because I actually missed. You're supposed to put /C before you put the netcat64 command. So you have to do /C in order to execute that command. So I just wasn't getting the call back. But here you can see that we are NC authority system. Thank you for watching.